So, 9 days ago, something genuinely fascinating happened in the celebrity world.
Right. October 3rd.
Yeah, Taylor Swift released The Life of a Showgirl, and it's her first album that's just, well, truly unabashedly happy.
It is. And almost immediately the internet just, well, had a complete
A
meltdown.
complete meltdown is right,
It's true. The album dropped and the division, both critically and with fans, it actually became a major news story itself.
which is wild.
And what makes this deep dive so interesting, I think, is why it's not divisive because it's dark or sad or, vengeful like some past stuff.
No.
It's divisive because she's celebrating simple, secure joy, happiness.
Okay, so let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because it is a paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got these absolutely astronomical commercial numbers on one side,
Huge numbers.
and then critical reviews that are just all over the map, from glowing to, frankly, pretty dismissive.
Yeah.
And just this mountain of online chatter trying to figure out why.
Yeah, why is Taylor Swift being deeply in love somehow more controversial than, all those heartbroken eras we've lived through with her?
Right. So our mission today really is to cut through that noise. We want to analyze the mechanics behind this resistance.
Exactly. We're going beyond just the track list. We're going to dive into the commercial reality, the specific critiques from big publications, and maybe most importantly, the psychological stuff.
Like the ownership fans feel over her story.
Precisely, that parasocial element. And how that creates this struggle when the narrative changes. It's really a deep dive into how we as a culture consume celebrity contentment.
Okay, let's start with the basics. The cold, hard metrics. Because commercially, this album isn't just a success.
Oh no, it's historic.
In under 11 hours, The Life of a Showgirl became Spotify's most streamed album in a single day for the whole year 2025.
That speed is just staggering. And it wasn't just digital, right?
Not at all. We saw Target opening 500 stores at midnight, just for the physical copies.
Midnight openings. For CDs and vinyl. That tells you something about the demand.
The numbers are objectively astronomical. You just can't argue with the commercial success. She's still this, global economic force.
Questionable on that level.
But here's where it gets interesting. Here's the conflict. That massive, record-breaking success. It stands in really sharp contrast to the reactions, critically and from fans.
Very mixed, very divided.
Yeah, like Pitchfork.
Yeah.
They're notoriously tough critics. We know that. They gave it a 5.9.
Oof. Yeah.
Which, for a Taylor Swift album, that's decidedly lukewarm, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. And they used that specific word. What was it?
Schmaltzy. They called the whole project a little schmaltzy.
Schmaltzy, right. Like overly sentimental, maybe excessive. That really kind of nails the core critique you saw in a few places.
Esquire weighed in similarly, didn't they? They focused more on the songwriting itself.
Yeah, they said she too often settles for overworked metaphors, characters, and one-liners.
Implying it's lazy. Or maybe just uninspired because the emotional stakes aren't, tragically high.
That seems to be the underlying message, yeah. Like, where's the struggle? Where's the pain that makes it deep?
It's almost like they're asking, where's the work? Where's the anguish that we usually use to validate quality? But maybe the most telling thing is the fan division.
Oh, definitely. CNN actually covered the fan arguments as news.
That's when you know it's big.
Yeah.
Even, diehard Swifties, the really dedicated ones, were reporting lukewarm reactions.
Talking about a vibe shift. And I saw this phrase pop up a lot. A lack of pizzazz.
A lack of pizzazz. It speaks volumes, doesn't it? When the lack of drama becomes the actual drama.
It really does. And what's so fascinating here, the main theme of the backlash, it isn't about the production or how long the songs are or a genre change, really.
No.
The core complaint, the single thing everyone's circling back to is that she's just too happy.
Which is such a unique problem for an artist, especially one whose entire career, basically, has been built on mining deep, complex sadness.
Right. How do you deal with that artistically?
So let's peel back the layers then. What actually is this album? What produced this contentment? We know the basics, right? Recorded in Sweden.
Yep, with Max Martin and Shellback, the pop legends.
During the European leg of the Eras tour in 2024.
And that production choice, it feels really intentional. It's a complete sonic turnaround from the kind of bleak, minimalist vibe of the Tortured Poets department.
Definitely. She's going back, embracing that huge radio-ready pap sound. Very 1989.
Exactly. But the lyrics filling that sound are different now. They're overtly, domestic, joyful. Not about chasing something or drama, but about having it.
And thematically, There's zero guessing involved, is there?
No, not at all.
The album is just completely saturated with specific, loving references to her relationship with Travis Kelce.
It is not subtle. We're talking lyrics about basketball hoops, shout-outs to his podcast New Heights, tracks that basically detail their life together now and looking forward. It's like a documentation.
Just a full documentation of being secure in a relationship. And you mentioned one track, The Fate of Ophelia. That feels pretty key.
I think it is. Because she takes that Shakespearean figure, Ophelia, right? Someone kind of destined for tragedy, overwhelmed by love.
Right.
And Swift basically flips it. She sings about how this specific love story, the one she's in now, actually saved her from that tragic pattern.
Wow. So it was like a deliberate declaration, I'm choosing a happy ending, no drama here.
Pretty much. A non-tragic, non-dramatic ending. And Swift herself kind of leaned into this whole public documentation thing. She told Jimmy Fallon the record was centered around show business and a public life.
And she said that thing like, honestly, we all have a public life now.
Exactly. So she's not trying to hide it. She's using the high-profile nature of her life as the subject matter itself.
Okay, but the fans, the critics, they're still struggling. Which brings us right back to this too happy problem. It feels like an impossible standard, doesn't it?
It really does.
I mean, just months ago, it feels like she was too miserable on Poets. Now, 9 days after Showgirl drops, she's too happy. She just can't find that sweet spot for everyone.
She can't seem to satisfy that demand for
What?
emotional balance. And this is where we need to dig into that authenticity question. That's the psychological root, I think.
Of the fan struggle.
Yeah. Think about it. A lot of fans built their connection, that sort of parasocial bond with her during the vulnerable times, the heartbroken albums.
Right, they weren't just songs. They were like tools for getting through stuff, comfort.
Exactly. They felt like active participants in her healing, in a way.
Okay.
So when the artist suddenly delivers these joy-filled love songs, especially ones people are calling uncomplicated.
Meaning. No hidden meanings. No pain to decode.
Yeah, basically. Lacking that intense betrayal or sadness that requires deep analysis, it just throws off that dynamic. The dynamic was built on shared struggle.
So if the music feels simpler on the surface, what's missing for those fans? Because you'd think happiness would be a welcome relief after a heavy album like Poets.
It eliminates the mystery, maybe. Heartbreak gives you layers, subtext, clues to hunt for, Easter eggs.
Right, the decoding is part of the fun for many.
Exactly. But joy, especially confident, documented joy like this, it tends to be more straightforward. There's no tragedy to pick apart, no hidden pain for the listener to solve or, stream their way through in solidarity.
It's just contentment.
It's just contentment. But hang on, I want to push back a bit on the idea that this makes the art inherently simple.
Okay, please do. Because that's the critical challenge here, isn't it? Isn't finding security and contentment, especially when your entire life is under this constant, often toxic microscope, isn't that actually a profoundly complex human achievement?
That's exactly my point, yes.
So if she's documenting that achievement, why is the art automatically judged as less complex or simplified?
That is the crux of the double standard right there. Culturally, we are just conditioned to validate suffering much more readily than we validate contentment.
Contentment is boring, suffering is dramatic.
Basically, suffering is seen as more authentic. There's this underlying belief that artists must suffer for their art to earn credibility. They have to labor for it.
So if Showgirl sounds effortless, maybe,
then listeners suspect the emotional depth is missing, even if that effortless quality actually reflects her genuine emotional state right now.
Okay, so how has Taylor herself responded to this very specific criticism that targets her emotional state, not just the music?
Her response has been, well, it signals a pretty remarkable shift, I think, in maturity, in security.
How so?
In an Apple Music interview, she basically said, I'm not the art police, She emphasized that artists are just supposed to be a mirror.
A mirror.
Yeah, and that everyone is allowed to feel exactly how they want about the work. No right or wrong reaction.
And she said that thing about not sweating it if fans don't immediately connect.
Yes. That, to me, is maybe the most significant sign of personal growth. Historically, she seemed to need that immediate, universal, high-five approval.
Right, that instant validation.
This time, she seems secure enough to just let the album be, let it be divisive, exist on its own terms.
And if we connect that back to her public relationships, that security makes a lot of sense. Remember the intense secrecy with Joe Alwyn? 6 years?
Oh, yeah. Privacy felt like a shield then, didn't it? A defensive strategy against all the scrutiny.
And the music reflected that often. cloaked in metaphors, protective layers.
This new album, though, it's the complete opposite energy. It's just fully embracing visibility.
Absolutely. She's not just, like, nodding to Travis. She's writing entire detailed songs about their intimate moments, their inside jokes.
Their future together.
Yeah. She announced the album on his podcast. He was in a music video. The collaboration is just...
Total. It really is.
It's that confidence difference that hits you. She's sharing happiness, but without apology.
Yes. No defensive love songs, no trying to get ahead of the critics, just documenting her current reality with total abandon.
Which culturally just slams headfirst into that prevailing artistic standard we talked about.
Because her credibility, her masterpieces, all too well, Dear John, Folklore, they're rooted in anguish. We, as a culture, seem to trust art born from pain more than art born from joy.
So the real cultural question isn't just about the album itself, the notes or lyrics. It's how do we, the audience, the consumers, process 13 songs about straightforward, secure contentment, especially when we're conditioned to believe complexity only comes from conflict.
Which brings us right back to that broader cultural moment and the parasocial struggle, that shift you mentioned earlier, from participant to observer. That's key.
Okay, walk us through what that actually means for the listener.
Well, when Swift was heartbroken, fans felt like they were in it with her. They were participants. Streaming the music was like offering comfort. Analyzing the Easter eggs gave them a role, a job to do.
Validating her pain made them feel part of something shared, a community healing almost.
Exactly. Their own feelings were validated through her suffering. But if she's genuinely, uncomplicatedly happy and secure,
What happens to their role?
they get shifted, reduced maybe to being just observers. Their decoding skills, their comfort, their validation, it's not needed in the same way. The narrative feels sealed, self-contained between her and Travis.
And losing that active participatory role, that displacement.
It fuels discomfort, sometimes even resentment towards the work itself. They feel like they've lost their stake, their ownership of the story.
That makes so much sense, especially when you think about the authenticity economy we live in.
Yeah.
You know, the early takes on the album were generally, it's fun, right? A relief after Poets.
Yeah, a definite step up mood-wise.
But fun just doesn't have the same currency online, does it?
No way. Joy doesn't trend like devastation trends. We've built this whole content machine around analyzing Taylor's heartbreak, her feuds, her pain.
Right.
When that pain disappears, the machine kind of demands we scrutinize the happiness instead. We have to find the cracks, look for the hidden drama, or just criticize the lack of complexity to keep the engagement high.
Pain generates endless discussion. Joy feels finite.
Exactly. So, stepping back from it all, the real issue here might not be about the technical quality of the music at all.
What then?
It might be about confronting our own complicated relationship as a society with happiness itself, how quickly we validate suffering, how much sympathy we give it.
But how instantly we scrutinize contentment. We ask, is that real? Is that earned? Is that deep enough?
That really feels like the core takeaway here. Taylor Swift seems to have entered this new phase, artistically, personally. She's clearly choosing her actual life, her happiness, over the established artistic brand that, made her famous.
She's willing to be schmaltzy, if that's the honest truth of how love feels to her right now.
She's prioritizing living authentically over writing defensively, it seems.
And her response, that non-defensive, I welcome the chaos vibe, saying she's okay not needing that immediate universal approval.
It shows she's made peace with the division, right? She's choosing herself, her well-being, over fulfilling the requirements of the old narrative. And that arguably makes this her most mature artistic statement yet, even if it's happy.
So here's the final thought for you to chew on. If her artistic peak, her perceived greatness, has always been so tightly tied to anguish, if all too well is forever the benchmark, does our cultural expectation essentially mandate pain from our biggest artists for them to achieve maximum resonance? Or can an artist actually reach that same peak while being, well, uncomplicatedly joyful?
Think about how much more readily we seem to trust the pain we hear in art compared to the joy. Do we inherently distrust happiness as artistically valid?
A profound challenge indeed.
Yeah.
Something to mull over. Reflect on that scrutiny of happiness, and we'll catch you next time for the next deep dive.